The main reasons behind why many gang members join gangs have to do with socioeconomic reasons. One of these socioeconomic reasons that we will first be starting off with is the shifting labor market. Although the United States still remains a large player in the world's manufacturing market, many of the manufacturing jobs have been or are becoming outsourced. What is outsourcing these jobs are a variety of things, such as foreign markets and automation. In the process, this is taking away many different job opportunities and seems to be an issue that will get even worse. As automation continues to skyrocket, both in terms of functionality and popularity. How foreign markets play into this issue is that much of the work done by previous Americans can now be done in foreign countries, where the employees in those countries will actually charge much less for their work to the companies hiring them. And although there is a decrease in the manufacturing sector, let's discuss further about the service-based market. According to the Institute for Supply Management, they report that around 83% of workers within the private sector work in the service industry. How this relates to the issue of gang members is because when you have a labor market that is primarily obtained through a good education, this causes a massive issue for those within lower socioeconomic areas. With the manufacturing sector decreasing, this means less accessible jobs. And with less accessible jobs, that causes more room for gang members to turn to that lifestyle. This also relates considering some of the biggest cities with massive gang activity such as Chicago and Detroit used to also be huge manufacturing cities. This economic shift leads us into our next point of why gang members join gangs, which is this economic shift leading us into the creation of an underclass. The underclass refers to neighborhood residents who live in extreme poverty where the poverty rate exceeds 40%. These struggles associated with the underclass include poor education, generational poverty, and dependence on the welfare system. In conjunction with the underclass, much of what we've discussed earlier with this shift in a service-based economy has also played a factor in this issue. Besides the issues of jobs being taken away in areas where the residents are predominantly skilled in manufacturing, other issues arise as well. When industries move out of an area, not only does this take away jobs, but also takes with them tax revenue that was being used to fund the area. Not only that, but those who can afford to leave the area may also do so in order to look for different opportunities. Like any person, the influence of the environment around you will play a heavy factor in the person you become, which is especially true for adolescents. The next factor that plays into the ongoing social issue of gangs is the continuous rise of single-parent households. According to the Pew Research Center, between 1980 and 2008, the rate of births to unmarried women in the United States went from 18% all the way up to 41%. Within the same year, the number of births that were non-marital were highest for African American women. Within poor urban city areas, the majority of African American children are raised by a single mother. This causes a list of complications. The first complication is that being raised with only one source of income in an area that's already economically struggling is a massive challenge. In order to make up for the lack of two separate incomes, many single mothers have to work long hours to make up the income. In doing so, this leaves children mostly unattended. And when a child is left unattended for an extended period of time, in an area already riddled with gang activity, especially among potential peers, it's no surprise they now also may fall into the gang, especially as a means of community and as a means of potential male figures to idolize as they may not have one in the home, and potentially having even noble intentions of joining a gang to make income to help their struggling mothers. We've mentioned education throughout this video, but I'd like to expand a bit more on the topic and how it relates to gangs. Education is arguably seen as one of the best ways to increase your social mobility. Social mobility refers to a person or group changing their status within the social hierarchy around us over a period of time. There are two types of social mobility. The first type being intragenerational mobility. Intragenerational mobility refers to status change within a single generation. The second being intergenerational mobility, which refers to status change throughout generations. This can also be shown through these tables here, that the higher education one receives on average, the higher income they make as well. as well as having higher rates of employment. Some social researchers have identified 3 key traits that help predict if a student will turn to gangs. Those traits being their grades, reports of antisocial behavior, and how they interact with peers. Another problem that has risen to schools is the actual potential gang involvement on school grounds. These issues can be seen by the fact that school gives the potential meeting ground for new gangs to form or for pre-existing gangs to use schools as recruitment. Drug and alcohol use may also contribute to gang behavior. Most teenagers within modern culture will try alcohol, with some may also trying more harder and illegal drugs. This creates various different issues. The first being that the usage of these illicit drugs can lead a teenager down a path of potential delinquency, thus leading down a higher chance of joining a gang. The second being that this creates a market heavily utilized by gangs as they use selling drugs as a huge source of income. And they are willing to go to great lengths to defend their turf, which can be greatly motivated by drug control. Another factor contributing to gang behavior are the thrills one may receive from being in a gang. Nobody can deny that there has definitely been a time where violating a social norm has crossed your mind, especially as an adolescent. Some adolescents get these thrills from relatively trivial means such as smoking weed or ditching class. While many of these thrills may also be sought out by delinquency or gang behavior, especially within low socioeconomic areas.